Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pokésports, a competitive Pokemon podcast. I'm Mike, and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin. I play with two Pokemon on the field.
And ladies and gentlemen, today is a very, very special day because it is finally the day that I can say I play with two Pokemon on the field mostly. Guys,
What happened?
It's happened. I've become the Pokemon master.
Have you now?
Yeah, I've become the VGC master. I went and competed this week in our Pokésports Patron League. And Kevin, I got to tell you, I steamrolled the competition. What can I say?
Oh, dude, I know.
Yeah.
I was looking at the standings and I'm like, wow, Mike has what it takes to take this whole thing home.
Yep. So in my group, there are 4 other people that I needed to beat in order to make it to the second stages. I did beat one of them. I had subsequently lost to the other 3, or was it even the other 4? Yeah, no, it's a 5. So I lost to 4 other people. I went really bad. So I can't say I go with 2 on the field just yet, but I'm close. I'm closer this month than ever before.
Here's what we do, Mike. Next month is the month of Mike. So what we do is we bring Togekiss, Excadrill, Tyranitar, Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Dragapult, and we just win.
Kevin, I don't know if I can handle that much power. I'll say this to you real quick. I don't think I can handle that much power.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Do it. We'll do Togekiss, Excadrill, Dragapult, Alolan Raichu.
Thank you. Good.
Incineroar, Rillaboom.
Yeah, I gotta say, Pincurchin Raichu, it's fun, but it's not that great in the current meta. In present day, August 16th, 2020, it is not. That's not it, Chief. I must say.
I had fun with it.
Yeah,
I understand what you mean.
Right? See, that's the thing. Like, it's a fun time. It's just not. It's just, oh man.
It's fun when it works. Sad when they bring a Dethor.
Son, I am disappointed. I'm disappointed with this one. Uh-oh. What happened? There we go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, of course, is August 16th, 2020, otherwise known as International or National Tell-A-Joke Day. So, Kevin, have you any jokes for me today?
I don't know, but let's see if Google does. Oh, I know what to do.
Tell me.
Hey Siri, tell me a joke.
Uh-oh.
What do you call an apology written in dots and dashes? Remorse code.
Oh, no. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. How about this? Hey, Google, tell me a joke.
Who tells better jokes, Siri or Google?
What washes up on tiny beaches? Microwaves. Not bad. Okay. I didn't have my thing on, but that's what she was saying. So you decide in the chat, was Siri or Google the better joke teller? That's it. And then, of course, if you're listening to us on Wednesday, which is Wednesday, oh man, I just lost my screen. There we go. Wednesday, 19th. August 19th. Thank you. It is, in fact, National Potato Day.
Happy Potato Day.
Happy Potato Day, everybody. Go and roast yourselves some potato. Yo, I got to say, I made French fries. Like me and Joanna made French fries the other day. And oh my gosh, dude,
like
it is.
From scratch?
Yeah. Like we took the French fries, we chopped them up, put them in some oil, let them, be for a little bit. They're delicious. And they're cheap.
Just simmer.
Like, do not buy frozen French fries. Just make them. And this is sad as like an almost 30-year-old not knowing that is just how the world works. That like, hey, if you make French fries, it's cheaper than buying French fries. But this is the world that I live in.
A potato is like the one vegetable that can grow anywhere. Like that's the one that they're planning on taking with them to Mars because it can grow in that,
of course,
like terrible soil.
That's the Martian.
So don't even buy potatoes. Grow your own. It can grow anywhere. You can have unlimited French fries. Mike, when we have a Pokésports mansion, can we please have a potato farm?
When we have a Pokésports mansion, can we have a potato farm? I will say that the basement will be all potatoes. Oops, all potatoes. You go down the stairs and it's just soil and potatoes growing in low light.
What if we had like a life-size Pokemon stadium court thing? You know what I mean?
Okay.
That'd be pretty cool.
And like nothing actually happens in it. It's just, it has 2 tables on either side of the court. And it's just where you sit down with your Switch.
No, this is what we do. We have 2 sides of the court. Each competitor sits on both sides, and we have this 100-foot long link cable.
That's it.
That runs from one side to the other.
The only thing you're allowed to play is Game Boy Pokemon.
Absolutely. Guys, we have a dream here at Pokésports.
We have a dream. So anyway, our Patreon is patreon.com/Pokésports podcast. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this week we have some news for you before we get into learning you about some competitive Pokemon. This week, if we look at Smogon, look at this guy right over here. That's Urshifu Single Strike. Urshifu Single Strike has been suspect tested out of Doubles OU, meaning it's headed to Doubles Ubers. So Doubles OU, kind of picking up on the Kevin note, saying that Urshifu Single Strike is amazing. Taking him out.
I don't know, guys. You guys were giving me so much flack before when everyone was like, no, water, dude. It has the better typing. 4 times weak to fairy. Bleh. And look where we are now. We've come full circle.
But this is also the one where we can't. This is also the one where we can't Dynamax, right? So,
sure.
Like, look at that, right?
Well, I guess that does make Urshifu a little bit better because nothing gets max guard,
exactly.
So you can still break through it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Unseen fist.
And then in other Smogon news, Sharpedo, Zoroark, and Linoone have been voted too much for RU and have been subsequently sent to the RU ban list. So
didn't Linoone just get there like last week? That was short-lived.
They tried it out and they were like, oh, you know what? No.
No.
No, can't do that one. Guys, try out Linoone in your OU teams. I gotta say, I've been practicing with some different teams, some off meta teams recently, and I tried putting a Linoone there. It's not terrible. It's just not used very often.
That's respectable. It sounds good. Belly drum good. You can't use it in doubles, or else I'd try it.
Well, maybe someday. And then in Pokemon news, on August 22nd, the East Sea Gastrodon will be distributed via mystery gift based on the 2019 Japan Championships with a competitive moveset. According to Cerebi, not much more is known than that, but we will keep you up to date with that as well. This is kind of strange, as it like runs right through the Gastrodon Max Raid week. Right now you can go on any Max Raid and have the chance to find a Gastrodon. So they're like, okay, well, if you didn't get one, then we'll just give one to you and it'll be all ready and you don't have to do anything to it. So, you're welcome.
It's so weird how they're giving so much attention to Gastrodon all of a sudden. It's almost like they're telling us, hey guys, this Pokemon still exists.
Right. Yeah.
It did kind of fall off the face of the earth the second that Drummer Monkey came in, but
Drummer Monkey. Oh man.
Second Donkey Kong Bongos came in.
I lost so many games this week to Drummer Monkey.
It's got some high usage, even in the Pokésports League. Who would have guessed?
True. It's very true. In esports news, we've got the women's tournament. So women's tournament, women from all over the world are welcome to participate in this VGC tournament, which is taking place on September 5th. It's run by Alyssa Smith, otherwise known as @TemporalVGC on Twitter. Lots of information you can find on Alyssa's Twitter page, along with a Discord link for women to enter the tournament themselves. We'll be keeping a close eye on this tournament, and we cannot wait to see the results. I think it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, it's super hype. I'm glad that something like this is happening, especially after the like earlier this year, there was a lot of controversy in like the VGC community in terms of, toxic masculinity. So it's really nice that something like this is happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then moving on in other esports news, we've got the Rose Tower LCQ, which took place this past weekend. Winner of the last chance qualifiers secures a spot in the Rose Tower VGC playoffs. The winner of the LCQ was the United States' own Nicholas Borghi, who tweeted, "Having played since 2012, I've always dreamed of winning a major." Oh, wait, hold on. I need to get into like my nostalgic, like I'm reminiscing about my win. "Having played since 2012, I always dreamed of winning a major. Something to show off all the hard work that I've been putting in. This weekend, I went in with no expectations. Everything to gain, nothing to lose. No pressure." The winning team used a Dragapult, Togekiss, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Primarina, and Porygon 2.
His Dragapult was called No Pressure, too.
I also love that he was like, "Having played since 2012, always dreamed of winning a major. I went in with no expectations." Meanwhile, brought like the top 10 Pokemon.
I mean, they're good.
They're good
for a reason.
They are good for a reason. Exactly. All right. And so that, my friends, is all of the news that we have for you today. Nice and short, nice and sweet, because today, folks, we have a lot to cover. We thought it'd be cool to do an episode highlighting some of the resources that you can use to kind of get yourself from absolutely nothing to pro status. We thought that, you know, maybe people needed a little bit more information. Maybe people don't really know where to start. I mean, obviously we're biased in that we're also a group that wants people to get into it. But I also think that it's important to know that everybody learns differently. So some people may do really well learning through us and our Discord and our videos and our podcasts and our streams and our tournaments, soon to be blogs and infographics. And I mean, pretty much whatever else you can think of. But in the case that you want more variety in how you learn, we're going to take this podcast to talk about them and what they do. So the way that we thought that we would frame this is we'll begin with someone who's just basically played the game and has absolutely no idea that VGC exists, and then just go all the way to what they can do once they know VGC exists and what they can do after team building and what they can do after knowing how you EV train and what you can do after you like know your upper level mechanics and this, that, and the other. Everybody's experience is different getting into competitive, but it feels like most people get into it kind of after the game. They stumble across it, or they have a friend who's shown it to them, or they have like a recommended video on YouTube or whatever. Or even if they would just like go into Battle Stadium and just start experimenting with the different modes, and they're like, "Oh, this doubles thing's pretty fun. This singles thing's pretty fun." And they just want to kind of get a little bit more on their own. So yeah, we're going to get into that today.
That's a little exciting because I actually haven't put myself in that mindset in a very long time.
Right?
Like, my competitive history goes back to Black and White, like end of Black 2, White 2. So yeah, I haven't really thought about where to begin in over like 7 years.
Right? Like I never realized, I never really thought back to when, kind of same for me around Gen 5, where I start to look up videos of people playing the game, or I start to look up like competitive battles, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a thing that people do. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to get into it. The first thing that we're going to start with is for VGC. We're going to do VGC, and then we're going to do Smogon before the break. VGC, this guy right here, this is Trainer Tower. I started this afternoon by polling my Discord, the Discord over at Pokésports. Wanted to ask them where they started to learn about competitive Pokemon, how they, went through their adventure, this, that, and the other. And a lot of people said Trainer Tower. Trainer Tower has a great set of resources for starting out in VGC. Breaking things down for beginners like EV training and breeding and team building and mechanic changes kind of between the games. Then they get into deeper topics like improving battle skills, making predictions and doing spreads. I will say the site isn't as up to date as it could be. It definitely seemed to have its last like major update back in Sun and Moon, but a lot of the things that you can learn from that are still applicable now. So definitely something you want to check out. It's also the group that works with Mount Silver to bring you the Rose Tower circuit, which we talked about earlier. So they're even a place where people can get into the esports element of Pokemon once you've got the in-game stuff down. So it's a great resource to have, great just website to go and peruse. Highly suggest it.
If anything, you can just go there and get some rental teams too. I think I know Victory Road VGC has very up-to-date rental teams in like the VGC formats throughout each season. So that's another resource. You guys can go get your rental teams.
Right. I'm seeing in the chat right now, a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but Alejandro says, has anyone learned through False Swipe Gaming? Have you heard of False Swipe Gaming?
Yeah, I've seen a couple videos.
I like it. I love his videos.
It's entertaining, yeah.
He does a lot of research and someone that I would highly recommend people go and look up as well. False Swipe Gaming makes how good is X Pokemon actually kind of vids, where he'll go through all the previous generations that a certain Pokemon was in and say like how viable they were in competitive play, how viable they were in Smogon, how viable, not so much in VGC if I remember correctly, but just off the top of my head, a big resource for Smogon, I want to say, based stuff. People can correct me on that in the chat, but believe it's singles.
They go really far back too. They go back to like Pokemon Stadium sometimes.
They go back to as far back as the Pokemon can go. So like if it's Linoon, for example, it'll go all the way back to Gen 3 because that was the first time that it was there. But if it's a Charizard, then it's going all the way back to Gen 1, where it's like the Wild West of Pokemon at this point. Like things have changed, man. You used to be able to use Hyper Beam every single time.
Oh, I guess we could talk about this real quick. We recently played Gen 3 with like EXP Share podcast.
Yeah.
And I just remember that typings were attributed to either physical or special. So like all grass moves are special. Even if you had a physical grass type like Breloom, you were still forced to use special moves. Like what a stupid mechanic. What is that?
You basically had this mixed attacker because it was forced to be, but it was definitely stronger as a fighting type.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Both Kevin and I used a Breloom on our teams, and it was nasty. Kevin, your Breloom can go and find a corner to stay in for the rest of its life. I'm not a fan.
It's okay. It'll sleep people from that corner. It's 100% accurate.
In singles, we have Smogon. Smogon is basically your one-stop shop for all singles battle content. There are non-Smogon singles, but honestly, this is just the most popular one, the most popular singles format. This is where you're going to find guides and resources and really, really, really active forums that you can chat with people to round out your knowledge. Smogon's applicable for doubles as well because they have their own Smogon like doubles OU, doubles Ubers, doubles tiered formats. For those who don't know, that's the one that includes some of the Pokemon that VGC doesn't, like legendaries and mythic Pokemon, except for when they ban them from their competitive play. But you go high enough in the tiers and you can use pretty much anything, but they're there. But that's basically where you're going to want to do that. So if you have a Zacian or a Zamazenta and you want to play it competitively, you can. You just need to go and find the right place to do so.
Ubers. Get it out of regular play, please.
Yeah. I will say that this is the format that is not actively supported by Pokemon and the Pokemon Company, but it's also not actively blocked by the Pokemon Company. So, the fact that it exists isn't so much a problem because it is supporting the game and it's creating a different way to play. But Pokemon Company has like no say in what goes on here. So it's very policed by their own people, not so much policed by a corporation, which, might be a good thing, might be not a great thing for anybody who's interested. And then
also is all usage stats. That's something we should mention too.
That's
they separate
true
the
too.
tiers into usage stats. So
a lot of people mention that on your YouTube videos, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we know that.
Yeah, it's true. I've been looking at the Pokésports YouTube comments lately, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, hey, just so everyone knows, these are based on usage stats and not what Pokemon are strong." And I'm sitting there like, "But isn't that similar? Isn't that like one of the same?" Like, if they're strong, they're gonna be used a lot. If they're weak,
in an ideal world, yes.
Yeah. Unless you're memeing with a Magikarp, like it's just.
And somehow you're an influencer and get 3,000 people to also play with a Magikarp and raise the usage stat into OU. That's something that can happen.
That is true. That is true.
Everyone use Magikarp.
Other similar sites include Maryland. GameWith.net is another big one. GameWith actually applies for a lot of different games. Or even Pokemon.com. Just like Pokemon.com has a pretty decent intro into competitive. I will say it doesn't go very deep because it wants to try and, ease people into it and let them do their own research. So it's a good foundation there. There's even a great Reddit post by somebody by the name of Jack of Spades Man 18 who made a really good beginner's guide to VGC. So I would highly recommend Googling Jack of Spades Man 18, their Reddit post, and kind of go from there. Lots of really good stuff there. But I mean, really the biggest question is, once you know the basics, like, what do you do with it? Like, it's one thing to learn what EV spreads do. It's one thing to learn how to IV breed. It's one thing to learn how to team build. But like, how do you get further into the knowledge? And that is something that we're going to talk about just after the break. But first, I want to, again, just toss this over to Kevin. Kevin, when you were starting, when you were just starting, what did you use? Was it just trial and error? Was it like looking things up? Was it looking at videos? What'd you do?
So here's a plot twist, guys. Mm-hmm. When I first started, I played 6v6 singles.
No.
Yes.
You played a lot with one on the field?
Yes. I've been converted ever
plot
since
twist.
X and Y. I've been converted to. So it's actually very strange how I got into VGC. So
mm-hmm.
So in 2013 is when I first started playing competitive, like the end of X and Y, not X and Y, Black 2, White 2, and I had some knowledge of tiers, but I would kind of just play with my friends, and we would my friends weren't too knowledgeable in Smogon tiers, so they would bring the scary stuff. They would bring the Blaziken, they would bring the Metagross, so. And I would be the one idiot using Wobbuffet and thinking it's really good. But because they just didn't understand what Wobbuffet does, I would actually win games with it. And that's like one of the reasons why Wobbuffet's one of my favorite Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since X and Y came around and I wanted to start uploading content, like I think I have 1 or 2 singles battles on my old channel.
Really?
In X and Y. Yeah, and those are like my first 2 videos. And then I saw that X and Y was doing like a VGC special thing on ranked battles because they wouldn't have it separated into singles or doubles. They would have ranked battles and then ranked special. And then ranked special would be like rotating. And then the rotation at the time was VGC 14. And I was like, okay, not a lot of people upload this thing. Let me try to do something not a lot of people do. And then I fell in love with it. And here I am 6 years later.
Wow. And then it turns out like there's this huge community behind it that like is full of people who apparently know each other and travel around all these different places together. Like it's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Super so for me, when I first started, it was, I like to say that I was pretty much self-taught. I didn't really know too much competitive Pokemon. I didn't really like do too much research outside of like EVs, and it was Gen 5 at the time. So I believe that was back when you had to KO certain Pokemon to get their EVs or to get certain EV stats.
Oh yeah.
So like I had to knock out a bunch of Rattatas to get like attack stats and whatnot. So back when I was like doing my like ticks on a piece of paper and like making sure that I had everything like properly and correct, then I would just start going out and using those Pokemon in battle without kind of any knowledge on what to do.
They wouldn't even tell you how many you had anyway. Like,
what do you mean?
So if you
that's right.
If you messed up on EVs, you'd have to like backwards calculate the numbers. They wouldn't show you how many you actually had.
You wouldn't know. And there was no like good way of figuring out if your Pokemon was maxed out on a certain EV, or like if you had 8 or 12 left, or maybe 16 left. Outside of like maybe, I guess, running the calculations on what a certain Pokemon should have, but I didn't know how to do that. I was a dumb little kid.
I think there's also no way to delete them either. If you messed up, you just need a new Pokemon.
Yeah, basically. So basically. So yeah, I mean that was my singles experience. Just kind of smash Pokemon at the other people until I figure out what to do. I think like my first Pokemon content creator that I watched was MBZ.
Oh wow.
Like I don't think I watched almost anybody else apart from him back in the day.
That name just threw me back.
Yeah, right. Welcome. All right. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about where we can go after all the base knowledge is there. Getting into things like Picolytics, getting into things like Babiri, a bunch of other stuff. When we come back, we'll see you in a sec. And welcome back to Pokésports, everybody. Over the break, I asked a couple people what their first Pokemon content creator was. A couple of people saying Pokésports was fantastic. I'm glad we could intro you like this, but also seeing some way blast from the past names like Shofu and Hoodlum Callum, previously Hoodlum Scrafty. I do remember watching a lot of him as well. Cybertron. Has Cybertron been doing stuff for a long time? I think Cybertron's been one of those guys who's he's been in it for a minute, you know what I mean?
2014 he was doing it.
Wow.
We battled a couple times. Yeah.
That's true. Mike on a Shofu rap when, says Tofu. Oh, dude.
Who would win?
Get me in on the Pokemon Cypher, you know? Why not?
Forget that. Let's make a Pokésports.
Oh, no. That's going to be like Mike. Togekiss sucks. I don't like Excadrill. That's it.
That's all we need, dude.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So where do we even continue? That is the question. You've started Pokemon, you've started competitive Pokemon, you have maybe a team put together. Now you're looking to make sure that it's a good team. Now you're looking to make sure that it's something that you can use competitively. So let's talk about that. One of the places that over the past couple months even has like really been stepping it up, and a place that you really should go and check out has to be Picolytics. Kevin, tell me a little bit about Picolytics.
I spend the most time on this website, probably more time than is healthy. Picolytics is a website that collects usage stats from Pokemon Showdown every single month. That includes, both VGC and singles formats. I only look at the VGC ones for obvious reasons. But the reason why I spent so much time on the site is because it shows literally every usage stat for every Pokemon that is used. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, like if you go on it right now, you'll see, okay, Incineroar, pretty good Pokemon, right? It's on 43% of all teams. And on top of that, you can go into even further depth. You can see what items are most popular in Incineroar. You can see what moves are most popular on Incineroar, what teammates pair well with Incineroar, what ability is best on Incineroar, and even what EV spreads Incineroar is running most of the time. This is super good for a new player because, hey, the creator of Picolytics is in the chat right now.
Oh, is that Griff? Yeah, there he is.
So yeah, I spend so much time on this website because it does make just team building so easy. And we're going to go into a bunch of the different new additions to this website that really just made it blow past every other VGC resource, at least in my opinion. This one's my favorite. But yeah, just having that knowledge and understanding what is good and what you're going to play against can make you such a good player because you can build your team around ways to counter Incineroar, to counter Togekiss, to counter Rillaboom. You're not really going to build a team that, can counter Sock.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference. Sock has 0.1% usage. You don't need to really counter it. What you do need to counter is the high usages, and the way to learn of the high usages is to learn about usage stats.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about that is it takes away the human element that kind of skews your ideas of what you should be using. I know for me, like I mentioned before in Gen 5, when I would just kind of like go to places with the Pokemon that I had created and smack them up against the other people who made their teams. For me, it was like, I would listen to what they're saying and they're like, oh, this Pokemon's really good. This Pokemon's really not. I wouldn't ever use this Pokemon. But if you look at like Pikalytics and just usage stats, the numbers don't lie. If everybody is using, if half of the people are using Incineroar, they're using Incineroar for a reason. And so if you're looking for a good introduction to playing with a good team and seeing how it feels to have a team that's really good, then you can start with those high usage Pokemon and just kind of go from there and not have to worry about like not have to have those worries in the back of your head. Like, is this Pokemon even good? Like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go with this,
And say you have a favorite Pokemon that you want to use that isn't too common. Like, for example, I really want to use Galarian Slowbro, which, has like a 1% usage on Pikalytics. You can go ahead, click Galarian Slowbro, see what the people that are using this Pokemon are doing with it. Like, we can see that, hey, it has Psychic Seed, Quick Draw, Expanding Force, Trick Room. Okay, so guess what? It pairs probably really well with Indeedee female, because follow me Trick Room, pop the Psychic Seed, get the special defense boost, etc. And then you could also just see teammates that pair well with it too, like Torkoal, Tyranitar, Venusaur. Your common teams with that.
Yeah.
And EV spreads is a big one, especially if you're new to VGC. You don't think you'd know how to optimize your EV spreads. Don't be shy to just steal them.
Yeah.
This website has them for you.
Yeah, it's nothing to be ashamed about at all. And again, that's one thing where like you can just kind of put that in, go up against other teams, and you're like, well, I could probably sacrifice a little bit of attack or sacrifice a little bit of defense that I have my EV spreads into right now and put that somewhere else. That's kind of where the trial and error comes in, and that's where new metas are discovered based on people altering the current meta with their teams, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. You can't win every game, but you can always improve every game.
Exactly. But Pikalytics is so much more than just that.
Oh, yeah.
Pikalytics also now has a team builder. This is one of those things that's just been, I guess, revamped. It's always been there, but now it's been like really developed over the past couple months. Allows you to compile a mock-up of a team that includes moves, abilities, items, natures, and EVs. Then it creates a graph that displays your entire team's set of weaknesses, resistances, immunities, effectivenesses, and same type attack bonus for stab effectivenesses as well. It just kind of shows everything there for you.
This is also really nice because back like in what was it, like February when we talked to the creator of Pokésports, not Pokésports,
that's
Pikalytics, Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we're the creator of Pokésports. Back when we talked to Griffin, this team builder was still in its infancy, and he was going through a couple of ideas with us on how he can improve it and how it can come into fruition. And now we have this. Now this team builder has a bunch of team tools to like help you set up these Pokemon and just calc them in a way that you can see what your team is weak to. It has a way of calcing for you, essentially. If you guys don't know what calcing is, it's essentially damage calcs. You're able to calculate move damage between two different Pokemon. It's really good when it comes to understanding what your Pokemon can one shot, can 2-hit KO, can live even. But yeah, there's this tool called Metacalcs on Pikalytics, which essentially just takes the damage calcs that we were talking about and automatically has an algorithm for you that calculates the offensive and defensive math against the top Pokemon in the format. So we were talking about usage stats. We were talking about Incineroar, Togekiss, Rillaboom, top Pokemon. It will just take defensive and offensive calcs for those top Pokemon, compare them to the EV spreads that you just put into the team builder, and then give you a list of what you can live, what you can one-shot, what you can deal with, etc.
Yeah.
That's bonkers. You don't even have to math yourself anymore.
No. Well, I mean, that's another thing just for trial and error. You go into Showdown, or you even go into the cartridge game, and you find that Rillaboom is knocking out your Urshifu every single time with Grassy Glide in grassy terrain. The disgusting. Instead of just keeping that in your head, you can now go to Picolytics and say, okay, how can I build this Urshifu so that it will live a grassy glide? Or at what point does it not matter? Know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is why a lot of people have decided to run Focus Sash Urshifu as well. Hunter says in the chat, but yeah, absolutely. Another thing, there's a new thing in there called Move IQ, and I've seen a little bit, but I know, Kevin, you've experienced it a lot more than I have. So tell me about that one.
Mm-hmm. So Move IQ, what it does is suggest moves for your Pokemon that would help it cover potential weaknesses better. It's actually kind of like you said, it is new and it's really interesting. I took my Leech team, and my Leech team has a Gmax Inteleon on it, and I was just looking through what Move IQ suggests for my team, and had I been smart and come here beforehand, I would have been able to cover my electric weakness a lot better, because Move IQ suggests I have Mud Shot on my Gigantamax Inteleon, which would give me access to Max Quake, which would actually help me a lot against, electric types, obviously.
Yeah.
Along with that, it also tells me that maybe I should stick Sludge Bomb on my Moongus instead of Giga Drain to improve my Fairy coverage, because my Fairy weakness is a little bit high here. Or my T-Tar should have high horsepower. Just again, that electric weakness just keeps coming back at me. So Move IQ just finds different moves that can further improve your gameplay.
There it is. And
Spicy.
then tell me about Breaker.
So Breaker automatically generates a list of Pokemon who can break through your whole team and essentially one-shot it all. Mm-hmm. So you guys may be noticing that Porygon Z is very strong, for example, and can probably tear through your whole team if you don't have a proper counter to it. You can import your whole team onto Picolytics, and then it'll tell you, hey, Porygon Z is going to ruin your team. In my specific case, apparently I learned that my whole Leech team is shut down by Life Orb, Dynamax, Diggersby with huge power. It can one-shot every single one of them with different calcs. Thank goodness no one's bringing a Diggersby to this tournament, because I would have lost.
Well, you're speaking things into fruition here, Kevin.
No one dare bring Diggersby to next month. It's banned.
It's happening whether you like it or not. And then on the other side of that, you've got Waller, which will automatically generate a list of Pokemon that can wall your entire team and pretty much just never go down. So this is basically the opposite of Breaker. You make Breaker, you can make Waller. Apparently, Kevin, I looked up your team, and your team's walled by Chansey.
You bet it is.
So another one where, thank the powers that be that nobody brought a Chansey. See, actually, that's not true. I don't know if anybody has brought a Chansey. I haven't looked that up.
I highly doubt it. But here's the thing. It's impossible, and this is something you guys have to realize, it's impossible to counter every single Pokemon. If my team is only walled by a Chansey, that's kind of okay, because I will never see a Chansey in PGC, right? Or if I see it, it'll be a once in the blue moon game. My team is only broken by Diggersby. Diggersby is not that popular.
Right.
I'm not going to mention the other Pokemon that it is broken by, because some of these Pokemon are in the league and I still have matches to do.
Meaning they are upcoming. You don't want them to know. I see.
I'm actually terrified because some of these Pokemon are very popular.
Oh no. Oh boy. Well, just know where your resources lie. And that was our 20-minute rant on Picolytics. So huge shout out to our buddy Griffin over at Picolytics, who takes care of the whole website. We couldn't do what we do if it weren't for him doing what he does. You can support him by buying him a coffee over at ko-fi.com/Picolytics, or you can just go to Picolytics itself and you'll have the link right there. Or check out our Pokésports Plus episode where we talked to him about it. Again, this is like way back in February. So even that is like old school Pikalytics compared to what has been now. I guess there's been a lot of development during this quarantine. So that makes sense to me. Yeah. And then there is our next person that we're going to be talking about. Another person that we've had on the podcast before, Babiri.net, run by, I think it's Kelvin Kuhn, I believe is his name. Yes. Kelvin runs Babiri.net. It's a website that collects the top 100 VGC players' teams from Pokemon Showdown and displays them alongside the most recent replay of that person playing that team. And the question you may be asking is why is this important? And the answer to that, my friends, sometimes team building can be difficult, right? And when you're looking at what the top 100 best people are on Showdown, just looking at their teams might not be enough. Just looking at the Pokemon that they're running, like, you don't really have context as to why they're running the Pokemon that they are. So you can actually go into the replays and see how they used their teams. You can see, what the purpose of having a Primarina is, what the purpose of having an Incineroar is next to a Primarina. It's useful. It's useful.
What's really nice about Babiri and Pikalytics is that using them together is very useful in team building as well. And they actually link to each other too now, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So it's a simple, quick link in terms of whether you want to check out, like, say that you see there's a top 10 team that uses Gothitelle.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, new Pokemon, don't know what this does. You can literally click Gothitelle and it will send you to Pikalytics and you could see everything people do with Gothitelle. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the front page of Babiri.net right now, and I'm seeing that the number one VGC team from August 16th was interesting. It's a Grimmsnarl, Arcanine, Gyarados, Tyranitar, Amoonguss, and Duraludon. And to me, that's like, I haven't. Yeah, exactly. Like, I haven't seen that one in a while. That's one of the top used teams right there. But the number 2 includes a Galarian Darmanitan. So people are still using that and seeing that somebody who's on the top 100 ranking in VGC still using a Galarian Darmanitan, that really does bring me hope.
Fun fact, it's another Pokemon that breaks my team.
Really?
That was one of them. Yeah, apparently.
Interesting.
That one's less used, so I can talk about that one.
Yeah, I definitely want to look through some of these teams and maybe take some pages from their book. Because again, just seeing random like I'm seeing a lot more Braviary these days than I have been. And I'm curious why that is compared to like Whimsicott and other stuff.
I'm gonna just say Rillaboom is probably a big reason why. Just like Rillaboom's popularity, Incineroar's popularity, Braviary just kind of deals with both. I understand it. Defiant Braviary.
Yeah. People are still using coaching Riolu as well. Interesting.
Oh yeah. I've been seeing some Mienshao with coaching popping up. It's like 3%. It's on 3 of the top 100 teams right now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's popping up slowly. People thought I was crazy for using it. Well, it actually gets ally switch too. Fake out ally switch, coaching, and then close combat is what I was using.
Oh.
It is not that bad.
Okay.
You need a sash on it though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and Eviolite is not enough. Its defenses are trash. So all right, that's Babiri.net. It's also a good place where you can get ideas of what Pokemon work well together, or what Pokemon you can add to your own team, or you can just, mirror the teams entirely and see how you do by piloting it yourself. But I will say that most of the time it's hard to kind of glean what sets they're using just from looking at the replays and just from looking at the things on paper, because that's not what any of this shows you. It doesn't show you what exactly they were doing. They just kind of give you the skeleton and you have to piece together all the proper bones and muscles and stuff. So, and then the last thing. So let me give you a quick recap before we get to the last thing. So we've started at absolute zero. We started playing the game. We got interested in competitive Pokemon because we just couldn't get enough of the actual gameplay. So you go online, you go and look up, content creators, you go and look up, other resources that you can use like Picolytics or Babiri or Trainer Tower or Smogon. And now you're at the point where you're like, I have this team, I'm practiced. I want to make sure that I am ready to actually start competing in my locals or in online tournaments. And that's where looking at past tournaments really helps out. It's helpful to see the predictions and the moves that past professionals have used and have played. And that can be from the current game in Sword and Shield or even past games. If you're looking into past games, though, just make sure that the mechanics haven't changed wildly. If you're looking at 2014's VGC championships and you're seeing a little baby Cybertron playing around, some of the things that they did back then aren't going to look exactly the same now. But a lot of fundamentals you can get from them playing back then. Not too much has changed. So as long as they're not abusing current day mechanics and what they're doing, or as long as things haven't changed too much, you can still use some of the similar things there. Quick suggestion: if you just go to YouTube and just type in Pokemon Tournament 2020, that'll get you games from like regionals and internationals from the beginning of this year, where some of the plays that were done are still pretty relevant, more so than 2014 or 2015 or what have you. And for me, actually, when I did that, the third video that popped up on my YouTube search results was the 2020 Junior Divisions Finals for Oceania between Justin and Simone. And Kevin, I need to tell you that this thing is sitting currently at 1 million views. Those kids got some exposure, man.
That is so great. That makes me so happy.
That's a 7-year-old with 1 million views on YouTube.
That's 2 7-year-olds with 1 million views.
Ugh, dude. They've got some eyes on them, is what I'll say.
Hey, that's just goes to show you that Pokemon can be a competitive video game. 7 million views on a finals tournament. I can imagine like half of those million views, like they probably didn't even know what Pokemon was. They were just like, "Hey, children."
Yeah, exactly.
They're winning games. So that's great.
People in the chat saying that they saw that like actual match. It was again. Ooh, it was
we were
a hype
in call
match.
when it happened. Yeah,
we were in a call when
it happened. Such a good call.
I wish I could remember which episode it was, because we talked about it on that episode's podcast, but it was like Kevin and I were going back and forth between what people should have done what, and then I had to go downstairs and talk to my other housemates who were also watching it, and they were getting hyped about it, and it was a very lovely time in our lives, and I want it back.
It was episode 16 or 21.
How did you?
Our Google Drive has every single notes we've ever done, so I just searched Simone. So it's either 16 or 21 because we talked about it on those 2 episodes.
It must have been 16 because we didn't know about Simone before we talked about her.
That's a good point, yeah.
Wow. So that was 16 episodes into Pokésports. That was the Oceania Internationals. Oh, dude.
Long time ago. Now we're 41. What are we going to do for our anniversary? We're actually only like 10 weeks away from it, huh?
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Guys, join our Discord. Tell us what we should do. Topic suggestions, Discord. Anniversary's coming up.
10 weeks is just about enough time to maybe plan something. So, yeah. Another thing about past tournaments, though, to keep myself on track, a lot of winners will post team reports explaining why they made certain choices that they made on their, say, Twitter accounts, or for one of the internationals, a post was made on Medium. I would say that it's a pretty 200 IQ play to study those and learn why they made the choices that they did, and then you can kind of make your own interpretations on what carries over into Series 5 and subsequently Series 6 next month. and kind of create your own teams and your own ideas and make your own changes to your own team. And then you'll be the one making the team reports. You're basically making a team report by doing this.
This is actually pretty useful because it might not seem like it, but old metagames mirror newer metagames, if that makes sense. Especially like VGC 2020. VGC 2020 kind of mirrors VGC 14 in a sense, where, right. Follow me won worlds, and now guess what? Follow me is very popular. Just like strong fighting types. Hey, look, we have Urshifu. Just things like that. They do mirror each other. You can kind of compare and contrast different Pokemon together. Like, say a team brought Arcanine, but now Incineroar is popular. Yeah. You could probably just do the same thing the Arcanine did, but with the Incineroar, it'll be essentially the same thing.
So, as you mention Incineroar and Arcanine,
Here we go again.
As they have risen in popularity, once again, so too have their counters. And one of the nastiest counters that we have received for Incineroar and for Arcanine and many others this generation has been Dracovision. And Dracovision is our Pokésports Pokemon Spotlight of the week. Dracovision typically running Choice Scarf to make it the fastest thing on the field with the ability Strong Jaw. EVs you typically run on that is 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 speed with an adamant nature. You want this thing to be as strong as possible. However, a very close second to that is Jolly if you really want to make sure that it's the fastest thing on the field. Typically, the moves that it's using are Vicious Rend, Psychic Fangs, Rock Slide, and Ice Fangs with potential replacement moves being Outrage, Protect, and Earthquake. But most of those moves don't matter. All that matters is Vicious Rend. Vicious Rend is an attack where if it goes before the Pokemon who it's attacking, it will do, what is that, double damage?
Double
damage.
And guess what? It's also boosted by Strong Jaw.
Yeah. Boosted by Strong Jaw. It has an 85 base power, so double that. You're getting a 170 base power move. Then you get Stab. Then you get Strong Jaw before that. It's just disgusting. You put that in the rain. Disgusting. Rain teams don't like this thing at all.
Cinderace isn't like this thing at all, too. With Choice Scarf, you outspeed Cinderace even if you're adamant. Wink, wink.
There you go.
But yeah, Dracovish is another Pokemon that, like, we were actually looking at usage stats for the Pokésports August Siege. We'll talk about those probably some other time later this month. But you had your top 5.
Yeah.
You had your Rillaboom, you had your Incineroar, you had your Togekiss. We expected those. But sitting in that top 5, you had Dracovish. 9 out of the 42-ish or 44 teams have Dracovish on it. Which is so weird because the last Liege, we probably had like 2.
Yeah.
So that's a big spike in Dracovish. But it's exciting. It's exciting because it's good, it's new, it's annoying, and it doesn't carry Protect, so you can always fake it out.
One thing that people were saying in the chat is that they're really excited for Sand Rush to be a thing. And my immediate thought was like, but
then you lose the Strong Jaw, though.
You do lose the Strong Jaw, but I think the opportunity there is what you can replace Choice Scarf with. You switch out Choice Scarf for a Choice Band. That's 50% increased attack. Your Choice Scarf only brings it up by 1.5, right? Sand Rush doubles it.
Yeah.
So now you're like super outspeeding everything.
Yeah.
And technically it is stronger than Strong Jaw Choice Band, right?
Yes, it is. You could actually just give it Life Orb too, which opens up the Protect spot for you.
Doesn't matter. Good. It just means that you can use Vicious Rend more.
Yeah. You could actually use other moves if you need to. Like Psychic Fangs actually does. No, well, Psychic Fangs you can break screens. That's the only other reason you do so.
Yeah. But who's using screens right now? Apparently the first person on Picolytics. And maybe that's saying something. I don't know. Using a Grimmsnarl, that to me screams that they're using screens, but who knows? yeah, we'll be talking about the Liege stats, not next week, but the week after. That'll be August 30th.
Sure.
Because we still have a lot of time left. But I'm excited to speak about those. This month's going to be fun. I took a like small little sneak peek at some of the teams, and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty good.
Very strong teams, very serious teams this time around. I think once people saw the pins, they were like, okay, now I got to try harder. No cat teams this time.
By the way, folks, if you have been asking about the pins, which I know a couple of you guys have been, those will be available on our shop probably by the end of the month. I'm still working on those a little bit. It just means that I have to rejig our Squarespace site a little bit to make it so that we can actually sell our own merch. But anyway, that's just something that I've got to be working on. Thought I'd let you guys know. And that is going to be the end of our podcast today. I definitely want to go and thank all the people that we spoke about today: Picolytics, Babiri, Trainer Tower, Smogon, just the entire organization, as well as all the people that we kind of casually mentioned in there as well. You guys have been what makes Pokemon what it is for the people who don't want to go and you know, create their own encyclopedia every single time that they want to go and make a team. So thank you. You guys enable the Pokemon esports community, the Pokésports community. We want to thank you for that. As for us, you can always find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Pokésports, where we put out new videos every single day. Kevin has been killing it with these teams lately. He's been making a ton of teams for the patrons. And you know, some of them have just been insane.
I don't sleep anymore.
Kevin doesn't sleep. Kevin does not sleep. Then of course you can follow us on patreon.com/Pokésports podcast. That's where you can have Kevin lose a little bit more sleep and make you a team.
While simultaneously helping me quit my job. Yes,
exactly. Of course, we've got other stuff like access to our monthly league, which we call the Liege, access to our extra commentaried battles, access to our extra podcasts that we put there, just a ton of stuff. I promise you we will have, for patrons, I promise you we'll have a newsletter for you soon. Yeah, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts if you can. Follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Pokésports Pod, or Pokésports Podcast on Instagram, Pokésports Pod on Twitter. Kevin, where can people find you?
X Reservation, Instagram, Twitter.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at StillJustMike. I want to give a big patron shout out to Ahmed, Brian, Elijah, Zach, Alex, Carlos, Ceaseless Rose, Colton, Jordan, Lights Out, Lewis, Neil, Scott, Grovile, Sheldon, Dante, Jesse, Joseph, Carey, Perry, Mike, Robert, Spencer, Jack, Swede, Marco, Rowickson, Cnov, Chad, Christopher, Federico, Howe, Ryan, a different Ryan, Tristan, King Boo, LA Caveman, and Tofu. Thank you to M Dash for making every single second of every single piece of music you hear on this podcast. Is amazing. YouTube.com/M Dash. It's amazing. Guys, that's going to be it. Thank you to everybody on Twitch. Thank you to my mom. Thank you to your mom. Thank you to everybody's mom. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.